Well, good afternoon. We are assembled here for a couple of reasons. One, because we have been in extensive meetings this morning. The law enforcement and leaders of law enforcement in Zone 4, which encompasses 11 counties surrounding and including Sacramento. And we have been discussing this morning what we can do and what we will continue to do to collaborate and coordinate and share information and intelligence among us law enforcement partners that are both at the local level, the state level, and the federal level. We've been having extensive conversations about topics that range from what we need to do around getting the guns from the hands of people who don't and should not possess them, to dealing with the real situation and crime that is occurring throughout the state of California in connection with mortgage foreclosures and fraud. And we have been talking about the work that we are doing and are recommitting ourselves to do around the issue of transnational gangs and the terrorist activities of those gangs up and down the state, and our commitment as law enforcement to stop it and to clamp down on it. So I'm very proud to be joined today by the leaders of law enforcement throughout the state to talk about these and many other important issues. And in particular, we are talking this afternoon here in the campus, the training campus of the California Highway Patrol, about our APPS initiative and what we are doing to get guns out of the hands of people who are on the list of armed and prohibited persons maintained by the California Department of Justice. I want to thank Sheriff Jones of Sacramento and District Attorney Jan Scully of Sacramento in particular, and both of them will be speaking. So the announcement that we have is that we, during the course of 6 weeks, the Department of Justice initiated a sweep of our APPS list, and that sweep has concluded. And in the process of doing that, we have collected over 1,200 firearms from the hands of individuals who are on a list because they were known to have purchased a firearm and they were known to be a danger to themselves or society or convicted of a crime that prohibited them from possessing a firearm. This sweep involved individuals who were in possession of everything from rifles to assault weapons to handguns to grenades. This sweep involved the work of several agents, in fact, 99 different Department of Justice special agents. It involved collaboration and coordination with local law enforcement in 43 counties in the state of California. And this initiative produced, as a result of this work, 1,200 firearms, 155,000 rounds of ammunition, 2 grenades, and 19 assault weapons. 90% of the individuals from whom these weapons that you see behind me were taken are individuals who have been designated as mentally ill and therefore a danger to themselves or society. 10% of the individuals from whom these firearms were taken were known domestic violence offenders. This list that we maintain is a list that is a combination of those who are required to register when they purchase a firearm and those who are placed on the list because a court has found them to be mentally unstable or because they have been convicted of a crime, usually a felony that involves some level of violence. And in May, and over the course of several weeks, the Department of Justice agents went out and picked these up by basically knocking on the doors of these folks' homes and where they live and retrieving these firearms. This initiative was long overdue, and we have a backlog in California. In fact, we know that the backlog remains, and even after this sweep, there are about 17,000 individuals in the state of California who remain on the list and need to be contacted by law enforcement. Most of the work that needs to be done here is work that requires local law enforcement to do it in addition to doing the daily work that law enforcement requires and needs to get done. And the reality of it is that we as a community cannot take public safety and law enforcement for granted. In order for law enforcement to be able to do this kind of work, Your police departments, your sheriff's offices, your DA's offices need resources. And knowing that there has been a great challenge to the state because of the economic climate, knowing that police departments and sheriff departments in this state for the first time have been in a position where they have to lay folks off, DA's offices have to lay folks off, we as a society have to say that we understand we have to make cuts, but the line has to be drawn when it comes to public safety. And that of the very challenges that we face, we must meet, but highest on our list must be the safety of our community and the individuals who live in these communities. So part of what we're here to announce is not only this operation and the success of this operation, but we're also here to announce very important legislation that is meant to connect the gap between good intentions and what we can actually do or not do. And that means connecting the gap between what we want to get done and the resources need to get the job done. Senator Mark Leno is sponsoring legislation, which he will talk about, which will allow us as the Department of Justice to give local law enforcement the financial resources, the human resources it needs to actually go and knock on the doors of these dangerous folks and collect these weapons. And it is legislation that is long overdue, and it is something that should be supported by everyone who understands the lethality that is really happening in our streets if we do not knock on the doors of these offenders.